It sounded like gunshots, but it was the trees breaking.
A black bear makes an unexpected appearance in the Santa Monica Mountains.
It's just a rare thing. It's very unusual.
And how will the snowy winter impact summer activities out west?
There's a pretty good chance you're not camping here Memorial Day weekend.
Funnel cloud dangers. They can still be dangerous even when they don't touch down.
They still have the ability to, maybe grab or actually pick up debris.
And how the weather can help you catch more fish.
Barometer starts rising. That's typically a good time to go after fish.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. 2 tornadoes struck southern Indiana on Sunday. The EF1 twister packed winds of 105 miles an hour. There is damage, but no reported deaths. Jalen Levels in New Albany along the Kentucky border with details.
What started off as a normal Sunday,
wife and I were eating breakfast.
We were getting ready for church this morning.
Quickly transformed.
I seen trees bend like I'd never seen them bend before.
It sounded like gunshots, but it was the trees breaking.
Power lines were snapped and large trees uprooted, causing major damages.
Her other little child ran her and she said, "Mom, the roof is gone."
During the aftermath of winds peaking more than 100 miles per hour in New Albany, the storm developed so quickly there was no warning.
As you can see, she lost everything. So she's got to start from scratch.
DeMarcus Mason says his niece and her children were inside their apartment when the roof was blown off.
She worked real hard. That's a hard-working black woman. You know what I'm saying? And she finally got herself together, and then this happened.
Duke Energy reported 17 poles were broken in Floyd and Clark counties, prompting Grant Line Road to temporarily close.
It's a minor tornado as far as scale goes, but it made pretty major impacts, especially to our neighbors who lost their entire roofs and have been displaced.
And look at the size of this hail. Emergency officials in Grundy County, Missouri, are reporting that golf ball to grapefruit-sized hail fell across the area Saturday night. Several buildings suffered major damage. The National Weather Service confirmed that a tornado touched down in northern Missouri, but there are no injuries. And hail also fell in Iowa on Sunday. In some places, it was the size of a baseball. This is Grinnell, about 50 miles east of Des Moines. A local hotel reported the hail shattered windows, put holes in its siding, and even damaged several cars. At least the sun should come out later today with temps in the mid-70s. But there is a risk today of severe weather in other parts of the country. Portions of the Midwest, from Ohio to Missouri, including much of Kentucky, are at risk. There is also a slight risk in central Texas, so stay alert today and pay attention to the forecast wherever you live. Further east, a scary scene in the Target parking lot where a woman was struck by lightning. The storm's core was nearly 20 miles away from the store at the time, but that's close enough for a bolt of lightning. She was conscious when first responders arrived, and remarkably, we're told that she is doing fine this morning. Remember, if you see lightning, you should seek shelter immediately and stay away from tall structures like telephone poles and even trees. Unusually warm weather and high winds are fueling wildfires in Canada. This smoke is rising from one fire in Alberta. You can see it here. Close to 30,000 people have been evacuated from their homes over the past week. More than 100 fires are burning in Alberta alone, where a state of emergency is now in place. There are even more fires farther west in British Columbia. Fire crews are hoping the weather, which calls for a little rain and overcast conditions, will help them fight the flames. While it's been hot and dry in Canada, it was wet and snowy winter right here in the U.S., but that doesn't always translate into a mild fire season. It could actually make things worse. Brett Forrest is outside Las Vegas to give us an inside look today at the Forest Service fire training.
Forest Service firefighters training in Cold Creek, Nevada for the upcoming fire season.
Butterfly hose, bring it back to the engine.
Make sure we're ready for the fire season and we approach that fire season with the best qualifications possible.
Record snowpack in the Spring Mountains this year, now melting. Potentially giving a false sense of confidence that the West won't see a big fire season like years past.
We need that water, but it also creates a lot of vegetation, continuous fuels, more potential for fire growth.
The extra moisture causing grass and other plants to grow at lower elevations. And the monsoon season, with the potential for dry lightning strikes, remains a concern.
We're favoring the dry thunderstorm idea as we get later into July and August, and that's a bad thing. That could trigger off some of those fires and get them going. And there have been some years where you go back to 2017, where after a wet season, snow and winter and spring season, it actually turned out to be a pretty active wildfire season in California and parts of Nevada.
Parts of Utah remain on alert for flooding this morning as rising temperatures are melting the massive snowpack in the mountains. And the water isn't just coming from rising creeks and rivers. Utah state workers are getting a lot of calls, more calls this year about groundwater flooding, which happens when water rises up through the floor from underground sources. This man says his basement flooded twice this year, and he's now installed some sump pumps.
And up until about 2 weeks ago, it was pumping out 1,000 to 1,200 gallons a day.
So up to 2 weeks ago.
Up to 2 weeks ago.
Up to 1,200 gallons a day.
A day, yes.
Wow. Officials say flooding at another property was so bad the homeowner pumped out thousands of gallons of water an hour. It's a very rare sight right here, bear spotted around California Santa Monica Mountains now. As Rachel Kim reports, wildlife officials think they may have finally tagged this animal.
He's the only bear that we know of in the Santa Monica Mountains. It's just a rare thing. It's very unusual.
For the first time in 20 years, researchers with the National Park Service have found a bear that's made the Santa Monica Mountains home. He's 210 pounds and is 3 or 4 years old. This black bear named BB12 was captured and radio collared on April 23rd in an area south of the 101 freeway.
We're going to be studying his movements, what he's up to, how he possibly interacts with our local mountain lion population. So yeah, we're excited about BB12.
Researchers say the nearest population of breeding black bears is anywhere from 10 to 25 miles north in the Santa Susana Mountains. So the question is, how did BB12 get here to the Santa Monica Mountains?
We will not really ever be able to know with certainty how he got here. But we suspect that if he did come from the Santa Susana Mountains, he would have had to cross the 118 freeway and the 101 freeway, which is kind of crazy.
Researchers believe BB12 may be the same bear that was spotted roaming the streets of Newberry Park in July of 2021.
The future of a California state park devastated by winter storms is still up in the air. As Lindsay Selzer explains, a sea level study will help determine next steps in the park's recovery.
I was super sad, honestly. Just kind of like devastated that all of this kind of got taken away.
The winter storms devastated Seacliff State Beach, destroying its long-standing pier.
As of right now, we've removed the pier. It presented a pretty significant hazard to the public in its current state as it was damaged from the storms.
Since the removal of the pier, State Parks is looking towards the future. The California Parks Department is producing a sea level rise study in the area, and they want help from the community about how to best restore Seacliff.
We will have a fairly robust public outreach as part of our sea level rise analysis study.
It's so beautiful here, though.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still enjoying it, trying to make the most out of it.
And check out this lightning. It happened during a storm that rolled through the San Antonio region last Thursday. As you can see, basically nonstop lightning flashes and those clouds. We want to thank the viewer who uploaded this video to chime in. And remember, we love to see your video. Go to your local station's website and upload to chime in and send it to us on our social media platforms. And check out this cloud display in Iowa last night. These are mammatus clouds, and they were visible across eastern Iowa. They're typically seen before, during, or after thunderstorms, and especially when hail falls, which it did. They form when cold air sinks down, forming the pockets in the clouds that you can clearly see right there. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, a snowy winter out west could be a delay in some of your favorite summertime activities. Plus, also coming up, we have a lot more, including we're heading to the river for some fly fishing. We'll be right back.
We have some showers that push off towards the east as we head into Monday morning. Otherwise, we're looking at mostly sunny skies throughout much of the day on Monday. A great day to get outside and enjoy, as we are going to see mainly sunny skies. And notice temperatures from Portland down through New York running in the upper 60s and low 70s throughout most areas. And we're going to see a few clouds up towards the far north. And the high temperatures for the day Monday topping out generally in the 70s for most areas.
I'm meteorologist Jonathan Myers, and here's a look at the mid-Atlantic region. For most, it should be a pretty tranquil and warm Monday up and down the 95 corridor. Notice some of these patchy clouds, but then you get to Richmond southbound. That's where we could see some rain and thunderstorms popping during the afternoon as our latest weather maker kind of hangs around down south. Then there's more rain that's out to the west that could impact pretty much everybody Monday night into early Tuesday. Look at those high temperatures, upper 70s to low to mid 80s, nice and warm. That's the scene here.
Hi, meteorologist Jennifer Collins with a look at your southeast forecast. High pressure firmly in control across the state of Florida, leaving mostly sunny sky around. Afternoon storms possible across the Carolinas and into the Mississippi River Valley, with more storms in the forecast for much of the Gulf Coast heading into Tuesday afternoon. It's going to be a warm start to the week. Temperatures near 90 degrees across North Florida. Will stay in the 80s for the Carolinas, in the upper 80s across the Mississippi River Valley, and in the lower 80s in South Florida.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Last week, the National Weather Service confirmed 2 funnel clouds in the Central Valley in California. Rich Rodriguez is in Fresno with a look at what happened and how funnel clouds differ from tornadoes.
A Fresno County Sheriff's deputy had his camera rolling when this dark funnel cloud started spinning Thursday morning. Viewer Alice Dedman captured it from a different angle, and as you can see, the funnel cloud is lighter. Also in Sanger, Leah Perez saw the dark funnel cloud through her lens. Farther north in Tybee Valley, it didn't look as fierce. The National Weather Service confirmed it was a funnel cloud.
Near the surface, they were actually very light. We were seeing winds probably about 5 to 10 miles an hour. But the radar, the velocity data on the radar was showing between 40 and almost 50 miles an hour. And that's aloft at about 5,000 to 6,000 feet.
Meteorologist Carlos Molina says there was also a confirmed funnel cloud in the Merced area. Fox 26 News was in the North Valley and caught it spinning near Atwater. Molina says it's more common to see funnel clouds in March and April.
We're still in spring, so we're close enough to April to still see this cold air come across Central California. But it looks like as we get closer to, I guess, the middle of the month, the end of the month, we start getting into our dry season.
Molina also has a safety message for storm chasers about funnel clouds.
Yes, they're aloft, they're not touching the ground, but they still have the ability to, maybe grab or actually pick up debris. Even though, normally we see tornadoes picking up debris, funnel clouds can sometimes even do that.
Molina says funnel clouds don't show up that well on radar. The National Weather Service has spotters around the valley to let them know about unusual activity.
Yosemite National Park isn't that far from Fresno, but a major road in the park is now closed and could stay closed for months. A crack developed along a section of Highway 120. That's a major access road to the park. Park officials say the crack is 200 feet long and 4 feet deep. The road is expected to remain closed through June or even July. More than 370,000 vehicles entered the park using that road last year. North Carolina's Forest Service has a problem. They're losing employees. Rex Hodge reports that's a serious issue when it comes to fighting wildfires.
The North Carolina Forest Service Mountain Division Director says low pay and turnover add up to losing an employee about once every 10 days.
Greg Smith says that's simply not sustainable for fire control and the management of state and private lands.
Since January 2019, we filled 169 vacancies. And that's a pretty significant number when you factor in we only have 189 positions across the region. If we had an event like we had in 2016 occur at this time, it would be difficult for us to be able to staff all the fires that we had.
The salary scale is low.
Our starting pay for most of our rangers now comes in at about $36,000.
Smith says some new hires commit to a 2-year training process, but up to one half leave before finishing.
We roughly average about $30,000 per new employee on the training, and we're seeing them go out the door. They just simply can't afford to live. And meet the cost of living.
Smith says they head to other places, including area fire departments, where they can make an additional $10,000 or more. Smith is calling for greater pay and a fully funded overtime budget, missing from the State Forest Service, and a built-in raise system. These are measures, Smith says, are vital to recruit and retain a safe number of staff.
And Smith says adding some kind of retirement supplement would also be helpful.
Memorial Day is just 3 weeks from today. That means plenty of folks are ready with their summer plans, but snow still blankets many summer destinations. Brian Sneed shows us Utah's massive snowpack could delay summer activities.
Here's the snowfall we had 2 years ago. Then this is last year. And here is where we are this year. So much snow still up in the mountains. You're going to have some challenges as you head out this season, but there are also some opportunities as well. From the mountains to the lakes, summer is calling. But this summer will look different than recent memory.
And we have an awful lot of snow out on the forest right now.
David Whittekind is the forest supervisor for the Uinta-Wasatch Cache National Forest. We met him up at Spruce's campground in Big Cottonwood Canyon, where any sign of a campsite is, well, non-existent.
I believe this year that'll be delayed. We'll probably have some even lower elevation campgrounds that are not ready to be open yet by Memorial Day.
And up higher in the Uintas,
I do know at high elevations it's going to be a couple of months even before we're going to be able to get access to those sites.
Whittekind says once they do get access, they'll have to see if there's damage that needs to be fixed.
It's going to be a while before we truly understand the impacts of this snowpack and what it means for our infrastructure.
But he says go ahead and make your reservations. You might just need a backup plan in mind.
I would encourage people to continue to book on recreation.gov. Kind of hedge your bets and get a reservation. Who knows when it might open.
At the Spruce's campground in Big Cottonwood Canyon, after the historic winter we've had, there's a pretty good chance you're not camping here Memorial Day weekend. Instead, you could be here on the Great Salt Lake with these rising water levels, enjoying a boat ride.
We'll have more from Brian tomorrow. He'll take a closer look at the impact on boating, backcountry hiking, and more. That's tomorrow right here on the National Weather Desk. Well, as the weather warms up, plenty of people are heading out to go to the water to go fly fishing. Meteorologist Amy Aronson is outside of Baltimore with a look at how the weather can impact fishing.
First-time fly fisher here, meteorologist Amy Aronson in Parkton, Maryland, where I'm learning not only how to fly fish, but I'm also learning how the weather has a big impact in the sport. Brian Donaway, Orvis's fly fishing guide of the year, showed me the ropes in the water and answered all my weather questions.
The barometer starts rising. That's typically a good time to go after fish because they get excited. That kind of gets them amped up to eat. And that's one of your best opportunities to go out and fish. When you have a dropping barometer, say after a front comes through, typically that tends to slow down fishing. So, 24 to 48 hours after a front's probably a good time to wait off until you want to go out and go after them again.
Water temperature also matters.
So typically water temperature, we're looking at 50, 52 degrees as an optimal starting point. Obviously throughout the day, of course, a sunny day like today, the sun's going to heat up the rocks in the river. It's going to then transfer that UV energy, UV heat into the water, raise the water temperatures. And when you start to get those spikes in temperature, even if you're starting at 50 and you start to maybe get a 2-degree spike up to 52, that really starts to move the bugs and the life around and gets the trout really excited to start eating.
In Parkton, Maryland, I'm meteorologist Amy Aronson. Happy fishing!
And speaking of fish, this is Lancet fish. It's one of several that have washed ashore on Oregon's beaches in recent weeks. They are deep sea fish that live at the ocean's depths called Twilight Zone. Oregon State Parks posted on Facebook that no one knows why they are washing ashore. Lancet fish look like they came from prehistoric times. Look at that. They can grow up to 7 feet long as well. And as we head to break, let's check out Hershey Gardens and the so-called sweetest place on earth, Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Good Monday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael taking a look at your weather story across the Midwest. We got a decent amount of scattered showers and thunderstorms for the day today, so stay weather aware in case any of these storms do become severe. But temperatures running above normal for most of the Midwest for the day today. Got another round of some storms across the plains heading into your Tuesday, and more scattered thunderstorms across the plains for Wednesday, with sunshine across the Ohio Valley for Wednesday as well.
Good Monday morning. I'm meteorologist Joe DiCarlo. Look at our forecast across the region. We will start off mostly cloudy, overcast from Arkansas, Louisiana, and coastal portions of Texas this morning. But more afternoon sunshine heats us up and it makes us more unstable. Isolated to scattered storms across East Texas into Louisiana this afternoon. There is a severe chance, isolated in nature, marginal risk level 1 out of 5 across West Texas into portions of Oklahoma and Arkansas during the afternoon and the evening. More thunderstorms across South Texas overnight into your early Tuesday.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Rebecca Stevenson. Here's what's happening across the West. Temperatures well below normal across the western coastline, but also pushing inland all the way into Idaho and Montana, where the next storm system, our next weather maker tracking into Oregon today, is going to be spinning up showers and thunderstorms and even some high elevation snow from Montana into Wyoming. And that's the scene from here.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Here's a recent array of sundogs and rainbows in northern Michigan. Both of these weather-related beauties display colors when light enters H2O and changes direction. The difference with sundogs and rainbows is the state of the H2O. Light refracts through ice crystals to form sundogs, and with rainbows, it bends through water droplets.
For more content like this, like the National Weather Desk on Facebook.
When it rains, your allergies may thank the skies. However, that thanks may be short-lived. Theron Zahn explains.
If you're an allergy sufferer, you may welcome a spring rainstorm. It actually cleans the pollen out of the air, but it's only temporary. Don't be too grateful, because that rainstorm also breaks up clumps of pollen from things like grasses and weeds into smaller particles that can travel further once the rain ends. So enjoy the short-lived relief from your allergies once the rain starts falling, but no, once the rain stops, it could actually be worse.
And we'd love to share your weather content on the air. You can find us on all of your favorite social media platforms, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, you name it. Just search at NATWX Desk or the National Weather Desk. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for joining us. Tomorrow on the National Weather Desk, why researchers now say dust storms are 20 times deadlier than originally thought. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great day, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.